I must state the fact that the NDC is at a very critical part of our reorganization. We are reaching the climax of it. That has to do with the election of national executives. I mean, once we're done with that, the next thing will be the selection of our flag bearer and then parliamentary candidates. This weekend in the central region, the youth and women elections will be held. And then subsequent week here in the Greater Accra region, the position for the other elected national executive positions will happen. I have looked at the lineup of candidates, and I must state emphatically that I am proud to be a member of the NDC because I look at the human resource that has made itself available and put itself up for elections in the NDC. And I must state that it is impressive. It's an impressive array. I will not fall into the temptation of saying we have the men like the NPP did, and we've seen that even fetuses they don't have. But I look at the quality and caliber of persons, and I believe that it is exciting times for the NDC. To all delegates who will be going out there over this weekend and next weekend to elect national executives, they must have one thing on the back of their minds, and that is the excruciating difficulty and pain that the Ghanaian is going through, and the need for a salvage mission, a proper rescue mission, to save this country from the doldrums of despair and reset this country. We need to have an Operation Reset that resets the whole country and shakes us off from the shackles of despair and despondency that we have experienced under the Akuffo Addo regime. There are very interesting and stellar lineups coming up. There is the General Secretary race that has, to me, 3 behemoths in that race, because Peter Boama Otukonor has literally, for the past 2 years, run that secretariat under the guidance of the General Secretary and has been at the heart and center of running the secretariat of the party. Even the branch reorganization and constituency elections were largely executed under his watch. Then you have Elvis Afriyankra. Elvis is no stranger. Elvis is gargantuan. I mean, if you want to talk about his stature in the NDC, this is someone who's currently our director of elections. He's held several other elected positions in the party, including, I think, at the point in time, Deputy General Secretary. And so Elvis brings to the table
there was a point I even thought he was the organizer of the party. There was a point. I mean, the way he carries himself around.
I mean, at every rally it was Elvis, you know, Mahama.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, and the work Elvis has done, sacrificing his youth for the party. There is no question about Elvis's commitments to the party and the fact that he would equally make a very fantastic General Secretary. Who else? Fifi Kwete, a son of Ningo. You know, people don't know that Fifi actually comes from Ningo.
Oh, really?
Yes. His grandfather is from Ningo. The Kwete is a Ningo family house. And so I've been telling him to visit home as often as possible. But also a son of the Volta region of Aflao. And no one can forget the role Fifi played as a young man in the return of Professor Mills in 2008, with the platform he set up at that time, setting the record straight, and the kind of verve and finesse that Fifi brought to the party at that time. And at this time, where there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation from government and government apparatchiks, you need someone who would set the record straight. So you've got 3 stellar characters who, for me, any of them would fantastically make it for General Secretary. You have the contest of chairman itself, which appears to be one of the very interesting ones, whether it is C for C or G for C. You know, chairman for chairman or general for chairman. You know, whether you want to have the chairman.
That's going to be a very hot contest.
It's going to be a tough contest. I believe that the incumbent chairman of Ofosu Ampofo is a battle-hardened election operator. I mean, this is someone who's contested parliamentary elections, he's won, he's lost, he's contested as organizer, contested as a vice chairman, as chairman. I mean, he understands what it means to run an election. And for me, he cast a very, very tall and strong figure as national chairman. And then you have a man who, in my opinion, is in a league of his own in this country's politics. Sir John tried to be an imitation of him. He ended up going away quickly, you know, because you can't be like Mosquito. You know, there is something about General Mosquito. I say that General Mosquito, the things General Mosquito says and gets away with, the things he says and gets away with, if you say it in this country, you'll be in problem. Because, and he has a fine way of communicating his positions, and he has a certain knack around him that endears him to the base of our party. So it's going to be a very interesting race. I mean, it will be interesting to see how that goes as well. But for me, the most critical of the races at this point in time will be the youth organizer race. I believe that the NDC as a political party over the past 4 years has not lived up to the full expectation of its base when it comes to holding the executive government of Nana Addo Akuffo Addo to task. And all of us are responsible for it, the parliamentary wing, the national executives, everyone. But you see, I keep asking myself that the expressions of anger that we have seen on the ground have largely been at the instance of the parliamentary wing. And then the youth wing comes on board. I have asked myself why our youth wing has become so docile. In the face of growing despondency, in the face of grave youth unemployment, I have failed to see the fire that is needed from our youth wing. And being a youth leader is not just about the welfare of your youth organizers or the persons within the party. You must be the voice for the teeming unemployed youth of this country out there, who are first-time voters, who are disillusioned with political parties.
You think your current youth organizer hasn't done that?
Well, I have seen leadership of diplomacy.
How?
One that engages more in press conferences than action. I want to see leadership of courage. I want to see a leadership that begins to raise the temperature in this country, galvanizing the youth front of our nation, and saying to them that we need to demand better of the kleptocrats in government, the thieves in government, those who are running down and destroying the future of this country. You have a finance minister who's run down his own private enterprise, run into government, and has run down the government business as well. And is now telling us that young people who have put their savings, little meager savings they have, is giving them haircuts and making them Sakura cuts like Eric. It looks like because the president is Sakura, the finance minister is Sakura, the vice president who is head of economic management is Sakura, and so they want to give everybody a haircut. And our youth wing is quiet and silent on this. You are telling people that their investments and savings will mature in 2037, 2032. How do they survive?
What do you want
by now? Listen,
I have seen your youth wing engage in demonstrations.
Those demonstrations, I'm telling you, were at the instance of the parliamentary caucus. When Ayawaso West Wagon happened, the young men who were brutalized were young people and members of the youth wing. It was the parliamentary caucus that said, because I was also a victim, they were going to lead the demonstration before the youth wing came on board. Where was that?
Is this personal for you? Is this a personal issue for you?
It is personal for me because I am a young person. I represent the young aspirations of young Ghanaians. Many young people in parliament today, wait, Kwesi, many young people in parliament today are in parliament because some judge dared to go up against a behemoth, and it gave people hope and belief. I know the role I occupy in this country across board. Young people living in the MPP have looked up to the courage that I showed to stand up for young people in this country in 2015 to go to parliament. And so I know the voice I carry, and I know what is expected of me and the people that I represent in our body politics. And that's why I'm saying that a youth leadership that believes in press conferences instead of hitting the streets. Akuffo Addo at 50 did Kumi Prekum. At 50 years. And then you have a youth organizer or a youth leadership that is less than 50 years and we are issuing press conferences.
The things that led to Kumi Preku, that led to the kinds of violent demonstrations you saw under the NPP, the kinds of demonstrations you saw by Let My Vote Count and AFAC under John Mahama. You've not seen.
I'm going to come to you.
Those things were less than half. Those things were less than half of the things that we are seeing today. And our youth wing is quiet. And that is why on that one, all the other ones, I've left them open. But on this one, I endorse Broja Jemfi. Because I believe that's
serious.
Yes. Because, and like I said, it's because I know the position I occupy when it comes to the young people of this country. And the kind of leadership I have shown. The young people must not be cowards. Young people must not be cowed into submission. We must not be afraid to take hold of the future. The future does not belong to us. Today belongs to us. Because if you leave the future in the hands of the old folks today and say you are doing diplomacy with them, they are selling our future, chopping the money today, like the video you always play. They are chopping current money and future money. You get it? And you say we should sit down and issue press conferences. I believe in the fire and courage of leadership that Broja Jemfi represents. And I believe that he will bring about a sterling turnaround in the next 2 years. If he fails, I will hold him responsible. But we want to see a youth leadership that will raise the temperature in all the 16 regions of this country. And make demands of this government. Demand accountability from this government. Enough of the press conferences. A youth wing that will open up the intellectual debates on campuses. Look, I have been calling for the past 4 years for TAIN, which is supposed to be the intellectual wing of our party, to be the fulcrum for policy initiation and policy debates. Why have we not seen TAIN across the university campuses say that, okay, TAIN is organizing a policy debate on the economy and bring whoever from the NPP, Stephen Amwa, and then Atuforsin. Let them come and debate on Legon campus. On communication, you bring whoever.
I used to see that a lot on the
and for 4 years, what have we seen? None of those. So the policy debates are being missing. But we should be able to win these votes. How are we losing on the university campuses?
My problem
is a failure of our youth wing.
My problem with
and that is why for me, I endorse Broja Jemfi, I endorse Osman Ayariga, because I believe that these two young men have in them enough fire. They have in them enough zeal to be able to take and hold this kleptocratic and looting brigade of Nana Akufo Addo and his Stephen brigade and hold them to account and ensure that wait, let me land in 10 seconds. Not just ensuring that we are holding them accountable, but mobilizing our base, that irrespective of what decision this government chooses to make on the 7th of December in cahoots with the Electoral Commission, we will mobilize our youth to be at the polling stations, to protect the ballot boxes and ensure that the true will of the Ghanaian people on the 7th of December 2024 is manifest. I trust Broja Jemfi. I trust Osman Ayariga to do this.
Your 30 seconds is up. I'm going to come to you, Eric, very soon. But I want to ask Honorable, I think maybe one line of questioning.
Yeah, that's right.
All of it together. And I'll share my opinion as well.
Sure.
I think as a member of parliament,
yes,
an honorable member of parliament,
yes,
you have not been fair to the person of Pablo.
Why?
Because you have cited the example of Parliament, your parliamentary caucus, setting up the demonstration before Pablo and his team, as youth, jumped on.
Statement of fact.
And so it is a personal issue for you. And to have endorsed one kind, for General Secretary, I mean, you spoke about how excellent all of them, the three. Peter Boama is my very good friend. I know Elvis, I know Fifi. And I mean, I can't sit here and say that I'm going to endorse Peter because Peter is my friend. You are an honorable member of parliament for your party.
Yes.
You are not supposed to endorse or follow one candidate. Give everybody a fair opportunity.
Have you questioned the other members of parliament who have endorsed Pablo? Maybe you are not even aware that they have endorsed it because they may not carry the gravitas when it comes to.
But you carry, and so people are expecting that you'll be fair.
And that's the point I make, because a lot of young people in this country, across the political divide, look at the decisions and actions of Sam George.
Anyway,
and so that's what I'm saying. I don't carry the gravitas when it comes to national chairman. I may not carry the gravitas when it comes to general secretary, but I carry that gravitas when it comes to youth organizer. And so as youth organizer, I will state what my position is. And it's my position. It is not binding on anybody. But I believe in my heart of hearts that this is the direction our party needs to go at this point in time. A youth leader who would serve John Mahama diligently, faithfully, and honestly as flag bearer of our party, and ensure that John Mahama's votes are protected at the ballot box. I trust Broja Jemfi. I trust Osman Ayarida.
But you will take my opinion. I mean, Broja Jemfi is my friend, and I'm not going to.
Sure.
I'm not going to say that I'm going against him or going for Pablo. But you will take my opinion that you have not been fair.
Well, that's your opinion.
You will take it.
I respect your opinion, but I disagree with you.
Broja is my very good friend. Very good friend.
I respect.
In fact, I think I have a history of. I've gone to school with him at some point.
I mean, I have
Holy Rosary.
I have stated my opinion here, so it would be unfair of me to say that you can't state your opinion. No, you are entitled to hold your opinion.